Well, it's week 8 of the LCS with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I'm joined right now by Fudge after a tiebreaker match against FlyQuest. They were able to get the win in, placing them in first place in spring. Are you surprised at all by this finish?
I'm not too surprised that we won because I did feel us like we were ramping up a lot going into the last couple weeks of LCS. I think our game today's both of our games today I think were quite bad, honestly. Today's game, today's FlyQuest game, the last game that we just played, I think it was definitely not as bad. Obviously, me, Blabber, and M&S in our first game, the CLG, had just like a combined like 30 deaths or something. We're completely inting. But the last game, I think Berserker just like hard carried. Honestly, Berserker and Sven played amazing. I think our comp was a lot harder to play because we didn't really have a tank to face check them, and Ari got really, really fed, so it made it very hard for us to get control of the map. I couldn't really split push because I wasn't sure where they were. Ari could TP on me. But I'm very happy that we won, of course.
Well, I know obviously we talked about how today's games went, but overall looking at the split, were you always confident that the team would finish first?
I wasn't always confident. There was a time during, I think, the first, like, third week, I think, of LCS, where third to fourth week we were kind of bad. I think once M&S came in, honestly, he was really, really good, and he fits our team really, really well. Although he still has, obviously, problems, right? Like, both games today as Jace, he got caught, like, multiple times. And I think that's been a big problem of his in scrims as well. So that's definitely something that I'm glad he actually got exposed on right before playoffs. I think he's definitely going to put a lot more work into fixing that going into playoffs, and I think we'll be a lot better a team once we clean up a lot of our like getting caught and bad fights.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask about that because I feel like people have been trying to figure out how good M&S is, because especially when he came in, he seemed very explosive, but he's been racking up a lot of deaths lately. So what is it, just his play style that he always wants to fight, or is he has an issue with map awareness? What is it that you think is leading to the deaths?
I think it's an issue of map awareness, but also a mentality of like wanting to punish his opponent a lot and play on the line that's very thin. And a lot of the time when you play on a very thin line, you make a lot of mistakes. But you also can look like the best player in the world at the same time. So he's going to have these games where he plays really poorly. And he's also going to have the games where he pops off, right? So as a player, I think it's a good thing to have as a player, because I think it allows you to sort of just constantly improve. You always have to be playing on that thin line, so you always have to be improving and making sure you understand the limits of all the champions. And I think a big thing for him is just awareness of the map and awareness of where the enemy champions are. And that's something that I think he's definitely going to be working on in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I know you're obviously a top laner, but I want to kind of ask you about this, because it reminds me of 3 years ago I did an interview with Jizuke where he was talking about how frustrating it was to come to the LCS and just see all the other mid laners hang out underneath their own tower and never want to play aggressively. Obviously now we have like JoJo that came in last year. M&S seems to be pushing the limits. Like, do you think that this is starting to change away from the sort of play safe mid lane situation that LCS has had for so long?
I would definitely say so. I mean, it's also a combination of like the champions being like Silas Akali a lot and Ari. These champions also make it so that you sort of like have to play aggressive. But obviously Vikla, Gory, JoJo, and M&S all, I think, are really, really aggressive players. So I think the style of mid laners that we've usually seen in the old LCS is very, very different. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so who do you guys want to play? Obviously, tiebreakers are going. Who do you want to play in playoffs?
Who do I think is the worst team?
Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be worse. It could be just the team that you think that you guys match up against the best, right? Because that happens sometimes.
I would say probably GGS. I think they're probably the easiest team to beat. But the most hype for me would be 100 Thieves. Because I'm friends with Tenacity, and also they have double F Bjergs and the GOATs, we want to beat them. Although I don't think that we'll lose to them.
I assume you're making finals, or you believe you're making finals, so who do you expect to be there with you? FlyQuest?
I think 100 Thieves.
Oh, really?
I actually think 100 Thieves is likely to make finals.
Okay. So we'll see, obviously, how the bracket looks after the end of this, but it would be fascinating to see that come through. What do you think has changed about 100 Thieves? Because there was a point in time where people were not sure they were making it into playoffs, like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think they've found their identity as players and as a team. They've switched to basically just tank stop every game and play for doublets playing a hyper carry, which I think is their best chance of winning, and it's pretty lucky that they found it in the last week. I think that honestly, it could just be that they have found it faster than everyone else, where like obviously the scaling, tank top, hyper carries, and then just like scale seems to be like the NA thing, where like you go into playoffs and that's everyone. So maybe they're just like the only ones that are doing it right now, and everyone else is going to start to just pick Jinx. But I think that as players, they're very, very stable, and I think that those sort of comps suit them a lot as players. So I think also I think Closer is very, very good at all like the engage junglers. He's very, very good at finding like very clutch plays in mid game and late game team fights. So I think they're definitely very well suited for this meta.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you said they found their style, but wasn't this what people were critiquing them? I think even Blabber said this on stage in an interview. It's like the only thing 100 Thieves ever wants to do is scale late and then just try to win there.
I think they found what champions they want to play. Because like, okay, realistically, when I say find their style, I just mean they're playing Sion Jinx every game. Yeah. That's what I mean. They're playing Sion Jinx, and honestly, it's broken. In NA, it's broken. Like, there's just those two champions together just make it really, really hard to win. Because they're not weak in lane, but they're definitely broken in late game. There's definitely answers to it in draft, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure.
I mean, banning is an option. There's two champions.
Okay. I think without Sion Jinx, 100 Thieves is like a 4th place team.
Okay. So how? Okay, but you still think they're going to make it to finals? Because again, there's a section.
I think they will find other champions to fit those places, but I also think that their players are definitely improving a lot throughout the weeks, and I actually think Tenacity is probably the second best top laner right now. Behind me.
How much is that because you're biased and you're friends with him?
When I scrim against him, he's the hardest top laner to lane against.
Okay. What changed? Because everybody thought that he was like at one point in time the weakest link on 100T.
I'm not sure. I think he just has stopped talking to e-girls so much, maybe.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know. How is that?
That's just false.
Was that your?
Never mind. That's false. I think he's playing Sion. Maybe that's just it. Maybe he's actually not that good. I don't know. Well, it's just they just look really good when they play Sion Jinx. That's all I have to say. Maybe they're just trash.
People are saying that this is that you are undisputed the best top laner in the league this split. Have you stopped talking to e-girls this split?
I actually have.
Okay.
I for the most of this split, like the past 2 months, 2 to 3 months, I've been on the grind. Okay. So that might actually be the reason why I'm definitely the best top laner. However, I would say a lot of people would like put Impact up probably, which I kind of agree. I think overall he's a really, really good top laner. I just think that when it comes to his champion pool, he's not very good at the carry matchups, and I think you need to be able to play those carry matchups for best of fives where there are going to be drafts where I can play Fiora, he can't, stuff like that.
Very good. Anything you want to say to the fans out there?
The last 2 games that we just played were kind of sloppy, but I'm sure we will very much improve, especially in the mid lane. Very good. That's all.
Thank you for the interview, Fudge. Anything else? Well, never mind.
Anything else? Anything else you want to say?
Yeah.
I just made you choke. I choked and you made you choke.
Because you wandered off, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, sorry. I'm so tired, bro. It's like, I don't even know what time it is. It's like 10 p.m. I'm going to sleep. Yeah.
No, we're all very tired. Speaker's waiting here. I have to wait and do more interviews. He said he wants us to hurry up. Okay, well, whatever. If you had won that game, you would be done right now. Anyway, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things LCS right here on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching that video. I'm going to be heading to Spring Finals, and I hope to see you there. And the whole reason I'll be able to be there is because Alienware sponsors the channel and allows me to do things like go to Spring Finals. So if you're in Raleigh, come by, say hi, and shout out Alienware. And then also go purchase some Alienware products at alienware.com/Travis. Purchase all their products. That, within reason. Whatever your means are. I'm not trying to get you into any kind of debt, but they got great products. So if you're going to purchase something, just go there. There's a link in the description.